Hi everybody, my name is Eric Nicholson. I'm a founder and CEO of Astute Realty LLC. I want to introduce to you, you're probably familiar with Jesus Obregon, and he owns Andino Contracting. And we are also both members of our group called Invictus, and we partnered up in various deals. Today we are at one of Jesus's latest projects that is coming up to the finish line, and I think we will discuss project that he undertook, the reasons why. And with this, Jesus, please tell us about this house. Tell us about the decisions you had to make and why, what were the costs, and let's also break down the variable costs and fixed costs, such as, kitchens and bathrooms will always be fixed costs. Square footage based things like the drywall and flooring, they will always vary depending on the size. And obviously there's also variation in products you choose, but I want you to give us an in-depth introspective into what you have done and why you had done and what were the costs.
Oh, yes, definitely, Ari. Thank you so much. And definitely, this is the last stage of the construction where we are actually just wrapping it up. We have already done all the framing, all the drywall, all the electrical, plumbing. Everything has been already done. Now, this property was intentionally to be a rental, so our budget changes between a rental direction and then a flip. You want to sell it.
Tell me a little bit about what and how changes.
Okay, it changes because of the finishes mainly. So your real costs, that the wood, the drywall, and everything else from electrical wiring, HVAC systems, and the plumbing, is the same. The cost is the same for every single property. What it changes on prices and my costs are the finishes.
Okay.
Because you're gonna choose, let's say, a different type of tile. You're gonna choose a different type of cabinets. You're gonna choose a different type of countertops. You're gonna choose a different type of even paint. Maybe have a accents wall. Maybe you wanna do a trim work. Maybe you wanna do carpet. You wanna do hardwood flooring, or you wanna do laminate. So you have to choose your finishes. So those finishes for rentals are different from the finishes to the flips.
So are they more expensive for the rental because you have to pick more expensive products and finishes? Are they just different? How are they different? Are more expensive, less expensive?
No, when you're gonna sell the property, you use the most expensive. For example, a 3/4 hardwood flooring. You can choose between regular pine, oak, or probably, I don't know, exotic wood like a Brazilian cherry or any other type. So your cost is higher. You can pay up to maybe $8 per square foot. But if you go on the rental side, you can get 3/4 hardwood flooring for, let's say, $3. Or you can do a luxury vinyl for $2 or $1.50. It all depends on the market you can get it at cost. But it changes, so your rental budget is a little less.
Less.
Correct.
Got you. So if you were going to put it on the market tomorrow, you would put the best material, higher quality materials, more expensive paint and everything, because obviously you want to attract an end buyer who is coming to invest their life saving, leaving this property for the next however many years they choose to stay, as opposed to a rental property, which will probably have changing tenants, which will need continuous touch-ups and fixings, and you obviously will not get people caring as much for maintenance as if they were the owners. The maintenance will be on you, so you are more on like cost-saving side, and also the tenant is not going to be as concerned about the finishes and little details and quality of materials, because they know at the end of the day they don't have stakes, they don't have ownership, as opposed to the end buyer. So that is my understanding of the logic behind the decisions that you make.
But also, when we work with investors, whether this is an investor property, we still need to refinance the property. So you still need to put the extra, so that way you can get as much refinancing for your property. For example, we had this one from the beginning. It's going to be appraised at $275. It was acquired. I think all in we have $150,000 on this one. So we are going to meet the ARV or the appraisal, because now, for example, if you can see here, we have all the extended appliances. We have a brand new kitchen and the quartz on countertops. And then we have all the things that are going to try to help us to meet the appraiser about.
Yes, I think you are making an excellent point there. although you are saving on the cost and you are not putting as much time, effort, and maybe the products into rental property as you would to property that you are planning to sell immediately. Having said that, you are still very mindful about doing a very good finish. So you can't just cut on the cost and do, half job, because at the end of the day, not only you have to have a property which is attractive to a tenant who is going to compare yours to other options they have in the market, but also you have to think about it as an investment property that has to appraise high enough so you can get, so you can refinance it and use the funds that you can pull out of this property to reinvest in your next property. So all those things you have to consider, and you have to kind of find the balance. This is not about cut and dry, instruction like, oh, save the cost, do the cheapest job here and do the most. No, it's case by case. You have to evaluate all the factors, all the variables, and then use your common sense. Come to the conclusion, make your decision based on optimal, the best outcome you can get based on your objectives and goals. I think that's an excellent point you have made. And I want you to also touch a little bit the costs, and this probably goes both ways, whether you do the rental property, whether it's a long-term investment or short-term. I want you to tell us a little bit about those costs involved, because I know that there are fixed costs like kitchens, bathrooms, and then there are variable costs which change depending on the size of the home. And finally, there is a variability based on the finishes that you choose. I want you to tell us a little bit about that in the context of telling us what did you choose to do here, and how did you put these things together, and how much they cost you.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we are the contracting company. So we come up with a lot of good deals on our end. So sometimes they're not available for investors or maybe other people. Really, it is not available. So we kind of have a little more advantage on those things. So that's why my cost gets lower on materials pretty much. I want to state that first. So when we do this one, basically it's a lot of controversy, but I will go from $45 up to $60 for a regular renovation, like a cosmetic, or maybe do, a house that is livable that you guys can acquire. And then between $45 to $60, you can actually renovate a property. Okay. So now if you have a shell, a property that needs a full gut renovation, then it goes to the next level between $65 to even up to $100 per square foot, depending on what you want to do. So on this particular property, it was a livable property. The only thing that we added extra on this one was the BG service, and we added an extra bathroom. So at the end of the day, it's going to be compensated by the appraisal. And then we didn't do the basement. We didn't finish it because we have 4 bedrooms already upstairs. If you can see, maybe I can move the camera. Yeah, for sure. So we can see here, finishes like this. I have the farm sink. I have this. I have the button for the garbage disposal. Everything here is in a way that we can get this to achieve again. Yeah, so we can go to this side, and so everything here is in a way that we can get the most of our investment. And even here, we have a second floor as well. We have 4 bedrooms, so we are in a final stage. But my point is, with properties like this, we're gonna be able to recover during our investment. So the investor will be able to refinance it, from 275 at 75%, and then pay off at 150 plus the initial deposit that they did. The difference is going to be a surplus for the investor to continue investing.
Yes, good point. So once you finish this property, it will appraise at certain number. Let's assume it's going to be appraised for 275, although it's not written in stone. It could be higher than that depending on appraisal, but 275, let's make an assumption. And then once it appraises at that value, until then, I guess, until it's finished, it's a hard money loan that you have borrowed that you have to pay in a very short period of time, but then you will refinance it, change it to a 30-year DSCR loan, and under that loan, I think you can not only finance for 30 years, but you can also cash out 75. Can you give a clarity on that?
Yeah, yes, it's all about math, like I said, they have $150,000 all in this renovation and property altogether, and then it's going to appraise at 275. We have a calculated 75% minus your 150 minus the initial deposit. I believe the initial deposit for this five was around 25,000 probably. So in this difference is the money that is not taxable, and then you can reuse it for another.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Accounting wise, you always save your money investment from taxes when you use it for investment. And I think I just confused myself. So you have a hard money loan. Let's say you borrowed $125,000 for this project, or $150,000. At the end of the day, when you do the refinancing, the property will be appraised at, let's say, 275. The 75% of that value is what the bank is ready to cut the check for. And once you get that check, which you can do whatever you want to do after you pay off the balance on the hard money, that the surplus that remains there, that's actually the value that you have generated by putting your sweat equity and your investment into the property. Now you can take that cash value, non-taxable, because you are using it to reinvest in another project instead of putting in your pocket, so it doesn't qualify as your taxable income. And this way you can actually increase your portfolio and keep reinvesting as you finish this project.
Yeah, great. So yeah, any money that comes from refinancing is tax-free because it's debt.
Yes.
So any money that is debt is not taxable. That's how real estate works.
So even if you don't reinvest it,
No.
because it's a debt, because it's not, if you sold it for cash on the market, maybe you would have a taxable income.
Yes.
But in this case, the funds that you get from DSCR financing, the surplus that you get, it's a debt anyway, so it's not taxable anyway. And Jesus is choosing to use that surplus to increase the size of his portfolio. And how many houses do you have?
Right now we own about 12 properties and about probably 8 with partners. So you choose partners to continue investing.
So you have about 20 total.
Exactly.
And you're planning, I think you said last time, to buy another 20.
Yeah. That the idea is to number one, we want to make sure that we're gonna be provided with the investor, because is for us is to help the investors to go through the whole process. So we have access to the financing part. We have access we work with a lot of real estate investors and real estate agents, wholesalers, and a lot of people who brings the deals. And also we have the construction company that we provide the services, and we have all the trades that are involved in the construction. So we kind of try to have everything in a process, so that way the investor will work with us, and then we provide all the services. And then like for example, this property, the investor will refinance the property, will get everything back, and then he will reinvest the money now. And that's what we are providing the services at this point.
It's a good point. And by the way, earlier Jesus said about the discounts that he's getting as a person who has done construction for many years, that anyone who uses his services can take advantage of. He can also help to make the investment journey relatively smooth transaction, because anyone who have dealt with construction, with contractors, knows how difficult it can be. And I wanted you to a little bit touch up on that side and just make it very clear about the value that you provide. Because I know that as a general contractor, like, I have a choice. I can go to Jesus and pay him extra 15%. I think that's what the markup is. Average. It depends. Every case by case is different, but the average is like 15% markup. I can pay him extra, or I can pretty much, go on Google, Craigslist, post the ads and file individual contractors, come and drive to the location, supervise them, make sure that they show up for the job and do what they have to do. And I wanted to let you explain how the value you provide offsets that extra 15% that you charge, which also, when they do that, when they hire you as a general contractor, it saves them a lot of headache. But tell about the value that you provide to offset 15%.
Exactly. And that comes practically from my mentor many years ago, and is defining where you are, defining what your role is in the investment part. Okay, if you are an investor, you act as an investor. And most of the people, they want to do it all themselves. They want to find the deal, they want to find the monies, they want to find the professional company. So what they, many people are successful at that, I'm telling you that, but not everybody, because you cannot how can I say this? You cannot get a job. You actually getting in a position where you're gonna be the contractor, you're gonna be the the guy who's gonna try to finance in your deal, and then you try to try to sell it or try to find comms yourself. So everything is kind of like on you. So what we're gonna be doing now, well, we doing before that, this was we were providing some project management services. We were providing with construction services too. So this time, since last year in 2024, we started working with the investors in a different way. So that way we provide the whole process, from the deal to the financing to the construction and end product, and then we have also the retail part. So we have all this flow that we have in all the resources and the people who are connected with us, and so now what I say to the investor is, okay, you want to invest your money, perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find you the deal, and then I call investors, so I call everybody, hey, I have a client who's looking for this and this. So everybody will provide the those deals, and then we go analyze the deals, and then we find one for our client, and I say, okay, and then we tell the client, hey, we find a deal, and if everything clicks with them, we analyze them, so we go to the financing part. So I have all the resources there too. Hey, I'll find me the monies for this one. So they will find everything, and everything is already structured that way. Then my company also goes and say, okay, we're gonna do the budget. So we want to rent it, we want to flip it, or what do you want to do with the property? So that way we can get a budget, and then we put the budget, then we do everything, put it together, and then we buy the property, or the person buys the property. Sometimes they buy it with us, sometimes they buy it themselves. The property gets acquired, gets financed. We work on the property. It all depends on the timeline of the property construction. So it could be between 3 months up to 6 months, depending on the size. And then finished product, I have realtors who want to sell it, or I have the financing part with DSCR loans. Refinance it, cash money back, and then continue investing.
Got you. And what is the return on investment for this type of project for the investor that partners up with you?
Okay, so normally the market has changed, remember that. So it's a fluctuation depending on the deal. If the deal is really, really good and we can get it for, a really good price, and my costs are, lower than maybe unexpected, so then the return is high. We talk about between 15 to 25%, even more than that. I think we have another deal actually we're making around 35%. Again, that's unusual, but
that's the return on investment of the investor that you provide the services to. Am I correct?
Correct.
Or is that the return on investment as is?
No, the investment that the investor is putting into this deal.
He will make between 15 to 25, and in exceptional cases maybe 30-35
from his investment. Yes, from his.
But usually it's gonna be like 15% to 20-25.
Correct. Yeah, that's from the ARB perspective.
So you are basically allowing someone to make pretty much the same profit margin they would if they undertook everything by themselves without all the headaches that come with it. Because, in simplest terms, you could buy this house, buy some tools from Home Depot, nails and stuff as an investor, and come here and work here 8 hours a day for 6 months and fix it yourself, and you save on a lot of costs, right? But then you have to ask yourself, what is the value of your time? What's the value of you being here and not with your family, not working on other deals and other options and opportunities? Obviously, it's individual. There are some individuals that will be happy with that kind of setup, so you have to make a decision based on your individual circumstances. But overall, I think even with your 15% markup as a general contractor to handle all the stakes, the package that you offer to an investor at the end of the day makes them about the same amount of money they would have made if they ventured on it on their own, which is a great packaging fee. It's a great deal.
Right, exactly. So what you want to do is, most of the investors, like I said, you need to define your role as an investor, so that way you are investing, you're looking for the opportunities, you're looking to invest your money and make your money work for you, right? You find a property, or we find your property, and then the money is gonna be investing in this one, and then your mindset is gonna start keep looking for more. So your job as an investor is to look for the opportunity. My job is to put the process or the flow.
Right, manage the entire project.
Yeah, it's the
Run out to the finish line from start to finish.
So that way, even with the financing or the sales or anything, it's just putting it there, the resources, because we cannot do it all ourselves. Definitely, it doesn't work that way. I did it in the beginning that way. It was totally wrong. It was very slow, and not only that, but it was a lot of headache. You're always thinking like, oh, what's going to happen with a property? Okay, I can need to go there. I need to stop. So it is a lot of anxiety probably people have from there. But once you have a flow, and people who are responsible to do their jobs, by funding the deal, by getting the deal, by managing the construction company, the construction part, or even to sell it, you're becoming an investor. So you can do actually 3 or 4 deals at the same time, which some people will feel like
The time and effort, headache that you are saving, and also never underestimate the risks. I have seen a lot of investors that jumped onto the boat, and what happened was that they have never hired contractors in the past. They didn't know how to vet them, and they hired just the first guy that they have met, and then guess what, the guy showed up for a while and then just dropped everything and left. They had to find somebody else who did the exact same thing over and over again. At the end of the day, you have a hard money loan unless you put all 100% your own cash. What happened, I have seen those people everything, all their money, because the hard money lender will come to you and say, okay, we have the contract, I lent you for 6 months or 9 months, whatever. I don't care if you could or could not finish it on time. I just want my money back. And if you don't pay me back, we have a term of the contract that allows me to foreclose on the property. So I'm going to take it from you, put it on the auction, get whatever I can, and wish you best of everything. And then you will lose everything, right? And this is very important point. I think a lot of new people, what was one of the things that I was actually also concerned about in the beginning, like how do you get into this business and start flipping, start doing the renovations, not knowing, not coming from the construction background. And one of the ways you can do it, obviously you can be your own general contractor, but one of the ways you can do it, I think you can hire a trusted, good general contractor who will, for a fixed fee, do everything for you. And in the case of Jesus, it doesn't just do that. Aside from general contracting, he's also providing you with a full package, basically. Okay, you are an investor, you have a property, he will handle everything from A to Z, and you get your return on investment, whatever percentage. It will be determined by the acquisition, by the budget that you put towards fixing the property, and the estimate of the final value. But as he said, you can cash anywhere, you can get a return anywhere from 15-25% in average, sometimes more. And I have to say this is a very good number, because even if you buy the property at, let's say, 70 or 75% of the ARV as an investor, I do my math, 10% of it will go towards the reselling cost, right? So 15% is what you are hoping to make, whether you have a general contractor or do everything by yourself. So it's an excellent deal. You get 15% back with least amount of headaches, right? So I also, before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you to give an address for this property, because we're gonna put it on the on our channel and everywhere. I want people to be aware that this property is beautiful, nice, well done.
Yeah.
Property is coming on the market. It's not gonna be there for too long, but it will be for a while.
Yeah.
For a little while. I want you to tell people where it is and how to get it.
Yeah, well, we are located in a 21229 zip code, and actually this is already rented. It's all right. It's all by the money. It's gone. Yeah, good. Oh yeah, we actually have resources where, hey, we are working on this property, but that's the power of people. We know work with us. As soon as we get at this stage where everything is kind of like 90% done, we put it there already on the emails and say, hey, we have this property ready to hit, the rental market before we put into there. So we go and then say, hey, if you have any clients and you're looking for, so that way everybody has the opportunity first.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
You have your already fixed, and before it's finished, somebody has already rented it.
So we have that. So we have the rental inspection already scheduled for next week. Again, everything is going to be everything finished next week. That's what we're hoping. So we're going to get this done, get the rental inspector, put it in the rental registration and all that, and then people can move in March 1st.
And here is the guy who knows how to deal with inspection in Baltimore City. Oh yeah, anybody who has done flips in Baltimore City knows that. Sometimes they're tough to deal with, but this guy knows how to deliver the job that will pass those inspections. So, oh yeah, they're fine with him, man. So I'm really happy that we had this nice conversation and we are seeing a beautiful prophecy that's coming up to the finish line. I look forward to have more of this podcast and cover more of this themes and subjects that I'm sure our viewers will be interested in learning.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your time again. And if we have more properties, definitely we're gonna have walkthroughs. They can subscribe to your podcast, and then maybe we can do an announcement that this month in February, at the end of the month, we're gonna have a walkthrough to one of the properties that is being already demoed. It's like a 3 stories, almost 3,000 square foot of a house. There's gonna be a full gut demolition. It's a full gut demo already. So you already framing. We're gonna have all the trays in this month, so we can do a walkthrough, and then I can explain, what the cost, maybe the construction part a little bit. So, and then I'll go through the deal as well, so that way we can, have an idea what it looks like,
And maybe also alleviate some of the fear, because I have had events where told people about the full gut renovation in Baltimore, and they were, oh my God, they're so scared, like, oh my God, you think it's something impossible to accomplish, that you will completely screw everything. But that walkthrough will also kind of push away your fears and show you breakdown and show you exactly what the process is. There are steps involved, there are things that you have to do in order to do the full gut renovation. I'll happily, have that walkthrough with you so we can look into all those details and things and give our viewers more interesting information.
Excellent. That's great.
All right, thank you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Thank you.